Hello. Good evening to everyone. I know it's already 8:30 there, I guess. So, I'm here going live for the purpose of shedding light on what we call writer's block there. So, by the way, I am Mildred DJ Par from the Philippines, and I'll be talking about writer's block. Okay, thank you. Miss Sarala, welcome. And I cannot. Anyway, I will be proceeding with my discussions on writer's block. But before that, may I ask you, have you experienced writer's block? What is writer's block? This is some kind of a difficulty. Oh, Sampa Banerjee. Thank you. Thank you for watching. This is a condition in which sometimes we are writing and all of a sudden we cannot anymore proceed because we are running out of ideas. But what is exactly writer's block? So let me tell you. So here, so a writer's block is a condition in which an author is unable to produce new work or experiences a creative slowdown. So, meaning to say, when a writer experiences a slowdown, or either she cannot anymore proceed or he cannot anymore proceed because there's some stumbling block, or there is some kind of a totally you cannot proceed because you don't know what to write about. But sometimes this is a lingering condition, not only for a moment but for some time. And not only amateurs or not only new writers experience this, but more of the established writers also experiences writer's block. It's a kind of experience wherein when you are writing, it seems that in the middle of your writing you cannot proceed anymore because you're running out of ideas. Or sometimes we cannot anymore write even to begin with. It's difficult to begin. So that's also a writer's block. So thank you, Marinel Cantigosh. Thank you. So, what are the causes? We're going to talk about, by the way, the causes of writer's block, how to treat them, or some possible tips on how to, overcome writer's block. So, we move on to the causes first. So, it may just take a few minutes. So, what are the causes? So, one of the causes is the creative problem that originate within an author's work itself. Or the author may run out of inspiration. For example, a writer is writing a short story, but in the middle of writing a short story, he cannot anymore proceed because maybe he's lost in the process. Maybe he is overwhelmed by which the story goes on. If it is a poetry or if it is a poem, then probably you're doing a poem and then you cannot anymore proceed because you don't know what to write next. Okay, so that's also a writer's block. So it originates within an author's work itself. As you are writing, then you experience some kind of a problem that you cannot anymore proceed. Or you run out of inspiration. That is possible. You were writing all along and then what to write next? Okay, thank you. So Dipti Shakya, thank you very much. Next. For the second one, it's physical damage. So it may be that you have a particular brain damage or somehow that you have a trauma that you cannot anymore proceed in writing. So that's physical damage, damage within the brain. And we also have, it's called agraphia. Agraphia. So agraphia is inability to write due to issues with the cerebral cortex. So there's really something like a brain damage. So that's agraphia for you, or brain injuries. Okay. Iniyat. Iniyat. Wala. Maybe wrong in pronunciation of your name. So let's proceed. Number 4. Number 4 is, yes, Dipti, thank you very much. Number 4 is writer's anxiety. You are being worried with one's words or thoughts, thus producing writer's block. So maybe you are worried about what to write next, or you're worried about how to continue the train of your thought. I know Mr. Iniatullah is a writer of Sunday Slice, and he writes mostly essays. So, how's the experience? I don't know if you have experienced writer's block, but mostly, even though seasoned writers also have a problem with this. So, maybe because you're too stressed on what to write, and so in the process, you're quite lost. Okay. So number 5, let's proceed. Writer's block may be caused by a writer's history in writing, rules and restrictions from the past. Maybe in the past you have written something and you have been censured by your teacher, or there's somebody who criticized your work, and with the criticism of your work, you're going to be, you are like, oh, Sir Alan, good evening. Thank you very much for attending. So, in a way, there is a problem in the past wherein you have been like criticized, and when you write, you experience like, you think about the criticism that has been given to you in the past, and you don't know, you become so unsure of yourself, you don't know if you're going to proceed or not. So that's quite heavy, some kind of an emotional baggage in the past, preventing you from writing continuously. Next. So another cause of a writer's block is it includes fear of taking risks, chaos in the pre-writing stage, inability to generate ideas, or a lack of motivation. So, when you are starting to write and your mind is too chaotic to even start writing, cannot even start a certain article or poetry, because your mind is like quite, what do you call this? You cannot focus, and so there's a problem with generating ideas. So that's pre-writing stage. So in the pre-writing stage wherein you are supposed to organize ideas, then you become quite lost because you are disorganized. You are like scatterbrain. So you cannot proceed because you cannot focus. And number 7. A while ago, we're talking about agraphia, which is a cerebral cortex problem. Now, this time, it's hypergraphia. And when hypergraphia, it means like the intensive desire to write. What? You have some ideas, and these ideas are overcrowding your mind. Therefore, you still cannot focus because it seems like you wanted to write, and the ideas are bombarding your mind. It's like there are too many ideas and you are overwhelmed on what to write. That's hypergraphia. A while ago, agraphia is a condition of the brain damage. So, cerebral cortex there. This time, it's the other way. the intensive desire to write, and you are so excited to write, but too many ideas coming in your mind, you cannot really find out which of these ideas you're going to write down. Okay, so we already have the causes. Now, let us categorize them. What are the different kinds of writer's block? So the different kinds of writer's block. For number one, fear of exposure. So when you're writing down, you think about who's going to read this. So you think that people will be writing or will be reading your work. And you become overwhelmed again, thinking that probably experts or critics will be reading your work, and therefore you have to be perfect with it. And being perfect, you think like you are being bombarded with a lot of, what do you call this? With a lot of nervousness that you cannot proceed. And there's some, what do you call this, restrictions on your mind. You fear that you might be exposed to experts and that they may censure your work. So now you lack the courage to even start writing. That's fear of exposure. Sharing Wangchuk, thank you very much for being supportive. And also Elizabeth, Maranan Kaimbing, I'm so happy we're here. And Inayat and Sarala also, and Sapa Banerjee. Okay, so second one, writer's block. The other kind is perfectionism. Why did this become a problem? Perfectionism. You always think that you have to be perfect in what you do, and sometimes you already have written and then you try to change your work. Okay, good evening. So you have tried to edit your work again and again because you want it perfect. But who's perfect anyway? So when you try to make it perfect, then there's a chance for you to encounter a writer's block. Okay. So the third is, we are now talking about the categories of writer's block, different kinds of writer's block. We have problems with the work. Okay, so you may not be perfectionist, you might be writing on, and then all of a sudden you have a problem with it, or you have a problem with the work. Sometimes, you know, when you are writing a short story, it has its own life. Sir Dilip, I'm so happy you are here. So, when you are writing a short story, there's a chance for, you know, you cannot control anymore because it has its own life. And thank you very much. And you continue with it, but then you cannot control the characters or the setting or whatever element in the short story, and you cannot even control it. When you are writing poetry, for example, you cannot control the other elements like the rhyming, and it seems like you have, along the way, you have a different thought. You veer away from your original thought. So there's a problem with the work. So another different kind of writer's block. Number 4, no idea. So how can you not have any idea at all? But sometimes because we are being blocked, we are being like blacked out on our mind. Therefore, we cannot have any more idea to move on. So we are trying to bring down ideas, but then really, there's no idea popping up in your mind. Okay, so do you? There's a question here, Mom. Do you feel that ornamental write-up with some uncommon words is a good style of writing? For that one, I will be giving you my own opinion. Well, it depends on the writer himself or herself, because there's really no one above you. This is what you always bear in your mind. No one will be above you. Even the critics will not be above you, because it's your own work and you're going to put your own signature there. So whatever you have in your mind. It's a good style, of course, but then highfalutin words, is that what you're talking about? Uncommon words or highfalutin, we call them highfalutin words. And these highfalutin words, for some, they may be educated or a sign of being highly educated. But for some, it is quite, what do you call this, destructive. Because if you're looking for general public as an audience, okay, when you wanted an audience, which is the general public, it's much better to have the language at their level. Because even though they may sound so good, but then if the readers cannot understand them because they are not as high level as your education permits, then the beauty of your work will be only appreciated by those of your own level. So sometimes we prefer to use simpler words but deeper meaning. Okay? But then it depends on the writer themselves, because as I've told you, nobody can be above you as a writer, because as a writer we put on our style, we put on our background, we put on ourselves in our writing. So if it is your way or it is your style of writing, then if it is your style of writing, then so be it. Do not be distracted by those who got a highfalutin words. So you can use simpler words. Much readership will be appreciative of your work, but then have a deeper meaning, and that's possible. So no idea is another different kind of writer's block. And number 5, can't get in the zone. Okay, so when you are in a certain setting and within your context of your work, there's a context in your work, and then you cannot really get into it. So that's also a different kind of writer's block. Another is, this one is very familiar, close to home. Number 6. Thank you, Sampa. So number 6 is getting distracted. When you say getting distracted, you are doing your work and all of a sudden there are, distractions. What are they? They could be people around you, or they could be loud sounds. Anything that veer away your attention and what you do, because as a writer we have to be focused on what we do. And when you have something that distracts you from writing, then that's a distraction. That is, we cannot have the unity of thought. Therefore, we are distracted, and therefore we are having writer's block. Okay, so as Srinivas, Gila, thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. So what about the treatment? If we have this, if we have this writer's block, no, what else do we do? What do we do about it? Sometimes it's just easy, but there are times that it really lingers on us. If you have a problem, then of course it's a distraction. If you know that there is somebody who is criticizing you, if you found an enemy who criticize you every now and then that's some kind of a block on our writing. Okay, so treatment. What about the treatment for writer's block? Number 1, it's good that you discuss with somebody else, because you are still within yourself and you have to go out and explore some ideas, and so you have to discuss with somebody else. Labab Dorji, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching. So you have to go out of yourself because you're stuck. You cannot think of something else. Therefore, you need somebody else to discuss it with you. Okay? Second is, you look for journals, or maybe you can jot down, much like a diary, so that when you have an experience, then you can jot it down and use your experience in your works. most probably in poetry because it requires affective aspect of us. And journals also could be magazines. You read, and you read. So this is where we get ideas from, and more knowledge, more information. So sometimes we get so tied up and we needed some more information, then we can use journals or magazines. Number 3, we need to free write. What do you mean by free write? You just scribble. Yes, very good. Constructive criticism may be favorable for the writer. Of course, because if you have a friend, then a friend would help you develop confidence. The more confidence you have, you don't care about the reader, but your confidence, your innate nature of writing, your innate desire to share is very good. So having somebody to criticize your work constructively will definitely help you, and it will boost your confidence, and the more confidence, the more you can write. I believe in that. If you have a friend, then have a friend or have your poem read to a friend, and if your friend find it good, then proceed with publishing your work. I hope I've answered your question, Mr. Iniatullah. And so we move on to number 4, brainstorming. So when you say brainstorming, it's storming the brain. So somehow you talk about those things that are beyond your sphere of thought, and have somebody talk with you because you have your expertise and your friend might have another expertise. So in the course of discussion or sharing ideas, you learn from one another, and that's good. That's brainstorming. And number 5, clustering. How do you go about clustering? Clustering is like you have a specific idea, and then you try to branch out on it. For example, you have an idea on emotions. And emotions, what are the different kinds of emotions? Happy, sad, and then you try to cluster. So what are the kinds of happiness? Gleeful. What else? Happiness, ecstatic, blissful. What else? Happy, glad, cheerful. And sadness, like loneliness, grief. So by clustering, you can have more words that you can put in on your poetry. Or it could be ideas like peace. What about peace that you wanted to talk about? Perhaps peace within the neighborhood, peace on global peace, for example. So you try to cluster ideas together and try to branch out, put some kind of branches on it, or like diagramming, so that you can organize your thought, and then you can go back to what you are writing. So they have anyway, so treatment number 6. Yes, list making is very good. I taught this in my creative writing class. One of the poem that you can make is a list poem. For example, you have love. Love is, so you try to bring down what is your perceptions of love, and you list down. Salahuddin Russell, thank you for watching. Yes, thank you for watching. So you bring down on paper, for example, what are your notions about love? Love is packed suitcase. Love is tugging on somebody else's sleeves. Love is a kiss. Love is roses. Love is sharing good thoughts. So you try to list down these thoughts, and then for all you know, you can already have what you call a poem, a list poem. Okay, so I teach this on creative writing class, these kinds of poems. I call this formulaic poems because you can make a formula for such poems. Am I talking too fast? Anyway, I hope you understand well. So next is engaging with the text. Number 7. What do you mean by engaging with the text? For example, you have written down a line from a poem. So as you write down the ideas, then you can clearly see what you have written. So you interact with it by means of bringing in similar ideas. Maybe you can write Freeride. So write there or list there the things that come to your mind that is similar to the idea. Okay, so by writing it down, you can see for yourself and you can analyze whether that is connected or not. Maybe it's far-fetched, but then it can add up another idea to you. It can bring about chunks of ideas. So why not write them down? And then number 8, mind mapping. So when you say mind mapping, it's like also clustering. Mind mapping is like you try to put some connected words, connected ideas. Faisal, Justin, I would like to appeal to Justin to forgive me. I've forgotten his certificate, but it's already done. But on the uploading, I withheld, but then it's already there. So, Justin, thank you for watching. So, mind mapping. So, mind mapping is a technique involved writing. Wait. Oh. Writing stream of consciousness on a horizontal piece of paper and connecting any similar or linked thoughts. When you say mind mapping, as it said, you write down on horizontal paper like this. Okay, so you write down the thought and then attach as many ideas as you wanted. Maybe it's the kinds, classifications, identifications, comparison, and contrasts. So you can, for example, in one topic, for example, travel. Travel is the topic. Then you can make, what is traveling to you? And then, what are the means of travel? And then, what else? So the problems encountered in traveling. Okay, and then what else? Anything related to traveling. So you can try to put their stems and branch out ideas. Okay, so that's mind mapping. And then these are tips on how to overcome writer's block. Okay, thank you, Justin. And also Chandra Sekar Batabial, thank you very much for watching. Jack Tomlinson, thank you for watching. So, how to overcome writer's block? Number 1, develop a writing routine. It is said that J.K. Rowling, who else is this? There's a famous writer who tries to develop a writing routine because it helps you to be what? It helps you like an exercise. It strengthens the body. Now, having a routine strengthens the mind. And it forces our ideas to come out. So, when you know you are supposed to write in or write out, then it's like an exercise on the brain. Okay, so you try to write on a routine. For example, like every morning, and you can have it every afternoon, depending on your availability. Now, for me, it's around 3 o'clock in the morning because I usually sleep in the afternoon. And ever since I've been to the groups, I changed I synced in with the Indian time, so I sleep quite early morning, late at early morning. So at 3 o'clock is totally silent and I can write down. So I usually write 2 to 3 poems in the morning. I'm sorry, I didn't know how to read your name, but thank you very much for watching. And BJ Lakshmi, did I pronounce it right? BJ Lakshmi. Thank you very much for watching. So, number 2, use imperfect words. What I simply mean is you cannot be perfect every time. So there will be times that you cannot get which word is particularly suited to this particular poem. It's called diction. Diction is the correct choice of words. When you use diction, you also have like euphemism. Like there's a harsh word and you don't want to use the harsh word, therefore you use the words which are quite less in effect. For example, when you say death, it's like passing away, the passing away of a man. So that's euphemism. You try to lower the negative impact of a word. That's diction for you. And you can also have sometimes you cannot always use synonyms for a word. Like for example, big, huge, colossal. You cannot use colossal for example, big bag. You cannot use colossal for a bag. But then they are synonyms. So not always use, you cannot use always synonyms. You can always use thesaurus for that matter for a certain word. So you may want to write down words that are similar and much better preferred to use on your particular poem. So you may use imperfect words at first and then try to match it later on. Oh, Michael Dulake. I don't know if I pronounce it right. Michael Dulake. Michael Dulake. Do prompts help with writer's block? Yes, actually, that's... I haven't written it down, but it's exactly... Mr. Michael, it is exactly the... You know, the contest that we are joining, they are exactly a source of a very good source of writing themes. Because like there's a particular platform that I'm when I do not have an idea, then I go to that platform. They provide picture prompts, and with the picture prompts, it what you call this, it elicits a feeling within me, and I get, so the atmosphere within the picture elicits some inner reflection on me, and I write down, and it's better because it's like conversational, and I get to process a whole lot more of information about that. That's a very good question. I'll be going to that actually, but let's have this one. Number 3. Do a non-writing activities. If you feel that you're having a difficulty writing down, do not force it. Do not force it, because the more you are forcing it, the more you're going to develop a difficulty, and you're going to somehow push it away. So what you better do is just relax, and number 7, take a shower. Why shower? Take a shower if you're like pushing down the ideas too much, but getting a shower gets you so relaxed, and when you're relaxed, the more the ideas can flow. Okay, let's move on to, yes, thank you very much also for the question. I'm running out of battery here. Number 4, free ride through it. You do not force ideas first. What you do is write down keywords, and later on organize them. Okay, if you are the one who do not like to organize, then keywords, and then use the keywords per line. That's what I do with my students. I do give them keywords, and 10 points if you can use all of them, and another 10 points if you can use them in sequence. So those are like writing prompts, by the way. So you provide them keywords, and then also yourself related words. That's why we do mind mapping and clustering. Okay, so free ride through it. And then number 5, relax your first draft. relax on your first draft. You do not be perfect all the time, but if you can just write it without editing, you are genius. Congratulations. But I guess it will be having a lot of trouble. There are good writers, but they are not so good at mechanics. What do you mean by mechanics? The capitalization, the commas, the use of periods. That's also matter. Like Emily Dickinson is full of hyphens, and it matters because it has something to do with the whole idea of the poem. Okay, so what else in the mechanics? The contraction form, like do, not, don't. So sometimes we use them. Hi, Miss Amelia. Good evening. Thank you very much for attending. And Sir Eric, of course, Eric Aguilar, writer's block. I just started chiseling away at the block until the truth is revealed. That's good. Okay? So, yes, you do write on it so that you can go over it. Okay? But not everyone is as blessed as you, because as I have said, there are many reasons for the writer's block. There are like 7 that I discussed a while ago. So there are 7 and a lot different categories of writer's block. Okay. Thank you very much, Eric, my friend. Okay, so where are we now? Relax on your first draft. And number 6, don't start at the beginning. I don't know. Don't start at the beginning. So, but then I usually, whatever comes to mind, that I write it down. But for some others, usually, like when you're having wine, they say that the first sip will be thrown away. I don't know. But they say that when you're drinking beer, the first few drops should be on the soil. Like in writing a poem, then the first few ones, you write it down, but then you still have to edit. Okay, I don't know if you are. Yes, punctuation matters. Like when you say, "Grandma, let's eat," or "Let's eat, Grandma." If you don't have a punctuation there, "Let's eat, Grandma." It seems like you're going to eat your grandma, right? So, let's eat, comma, grandma. And then, of course, without the punctuation, if you lost your period, then, after 9 months, you're going to have a baby. If you lost a period, you know, girls. Anyway, that's a sideway. Anyway, so, and lastly, number 7. They have listed 20 there, but then it boils down to having a relaxed mind, I guess. Take a shower and hot bath because it cools the mind, it relaxes the spirit, and when you are relaxed, the more information comes down from your head down to your hands, down to your pen. And I guess this is it. This is the last part. So, there's a question here. Dear ma'am, what are the good habits for maintaining our brain to overcome this writer's block? Like what I've told you on some tips here, we must have, if you really are a writer, then you must have a writing routine. And because you're a writer, you're always forever inquisitive. So you read. I always read somebody else's work not to compare, but to learn from them some styles, some techniques. And I'm always trying to look for a small voice, which I can call my own. We have this individual style, although we're not so much into this, but then there really is a particular style that we're going to develop as we go along the way. It is a distinct characteristic that is entirely ours, that when others see our work, oh, this is the work of Eric, this is the work of Amelia, because there's a certain distinct style. Like in Emily Dickinson, the use of lowercase letters, the use of hyphens, and in Edgar Allan Poe, the use of bizarre, and in Cant, the use of ironic, 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 Yes, they use a bizarre idea or the concept of death with Emily Dickinson. I'd like to share more about Emily Dickinson's life. We can learn a lot from her, but I guess my battery won't allow anymore. And if you have questions, maybe you can write in and I can answer later on or soon. Sir Dilip, thank you very much for what do you call this? Yeah. And yes, punctuation, dear Eric. I have this good writer, and I told him, "You're so very good." I don't want to put him down, but I want him to recognize the importance of it. Uh, I told him, "You're a good writer, but you're not good at the mechanics." And he said, "What about mechanics? You do not you do not punctuate your work, and when you do punctuation, there's no space after punctuation, and the cutting of words, what do you call, it's called a run on, it's called I forgot about it. There's this a rundown from the line up to the next line. I forgot what it's called. It's I forgot really. It's a writer's block now. It's a speaker's block, you know. When you have this word or line and then the last word is put on the next line, I forgot about it. I used to teach all about it because sometimes even Robert Frost has used this. He used whose woods these are. I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He would not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. But then it's not perfectly on the line because the next line or the next word is put on the next line, and that's what you call. I forgot. Oh, it's a thinker's block. I'm an absent-minded sometimes, you know. But then for the writer's block, I also encounter there are times that I'm lazy, so I dare not write. I give myself some, what do you call this, allowance for this. Do not be harsh on yourself. Do always think that there are times that we are very much productive, and there are times really in our lives that we maybe just a little rest from writing a bit. Okay, so thank you very much for those who attended this little lecture. I hope I have given you a bit of myself. I hope you do learn a bit. Miss Amelia, thank you. Elizabeth, Inayat Tula, Michael Dulake, Dilip, thank you for staying, and Sarala, Sampa Banerjee, who else? I forgot the others, but then thank you very much for being with me this evening. Thank you very much. It means it means so much. Eric too. Vijaya Lakshmi, Srinivas, Jila, thank you very much. Who else? I don't know his name, but thank you very much. And so until here, thank you very much for everyone. I hope you'll learn about writer's block. Do not fear writer's block. It just happens normally, and we can have a lot of things to do about it. Okay, so I guess until here, thank you very much. Good night. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Yes, rest. Thank you very much. Good night.